hand over to Rob Scriven, as Head of Supply Chain from ISG. Thank you.
Thank you, Pete. Just going to go for a quick agenda. Who are ISG? Most of you won't know what we do, who we are. We're a large construction company, but I'll go through that. Our challenges, so why did we actually embark on a journey to digitise our supply chain systems, realistically, whether that's our onboarding of our supply chain partners, our sourcing of our supply chain partners, or even going all the way through to a source to contract or material to pay solution. What have we done? So actually showing some of the products and that we've integrated into and how we've utilised those to really align with ESG and risk, and how that will flow through to hopefully our outcomes so far and in the future. So I'm going to give a bit of a backstory as well about actually how we sold this into our business. So we're a sizable company, and it's how did we manage to get the one diagram to sell this to our board, all the stakeholders, and actually get the funds and able to invest quite substantially into the digitisation space. So ISG, we're a global construction company. We don't do any infrastructure. We don't do any FM. All we concentrate is in buildings. We have a number of business units across the globe, predominantly doing fit-out, public sector work, data centres, high-tech manufacturing, distribution centres. We are a full global business. We have over 3,500 employees and turn over about 2.5 billion. So a sizable organisation, and we looked for a complete global solution to our, well, realistically, the management of our supply chain. With our business, unfortunately, we all worked in separate ways. So this was about streamlining one process and really making sure that we had aligned ourselves with the most efficient way possible, analysing all the different business units and what was best for ISG. So our key challenges. So only in the UK, we've got 7,500 supply chain partners we could call on at any point in time. We had a really fragmented ESG risk mitigation process. It was a lot of Excel-based, a lot of alerts coming through, nothing that was all summarised in one place where we could view and actually act upon it before it became an issue on one of our sites or within one of our offices. 94% of our supply chain were SMEs. So again, and even the next statistic, 1,400 companies had less than 10 employees. So even trying to bring them through an onboarding journey or actually getting them involved in a system, I've stood in front of the closest top 8% of my supply chain and tried to talk to them about multi-factor authentication. I got blank faces stared at me. They didn't understand systems. They still don't understand systems, and it's bringing on that journey and actually helping them, giving them the education, the training to utilise systems, not only for our point of view, but actually it's transparency to them as well. There was no standardised PQQ system across our legal entities or our countries. So there was, when we wanted to search, say a client said, oh, I want you to do a job in Japan, we had no way of searching for that. So now we're standardising our pre-qualification system. Obviously being construction, health and safety is really important, quality is really important, and now, thanks to our clients, and comes on to another point, ESG, sustainability, significantly important to us. We're writing new strategies, we're one of the leaders in the industry, and now probably our Achilles heel is actually our supply chain. Can they keep up with the pace that our clients want and ISG want to build on? All of our risk mitigation, all the things that we were doing was proactive. We wasn't doing anything, reactive. We weren't doing anything proactively. We weren't looking at what was going on in the market, what was going on social media, news feeds, all those bits before we place an order. We place an order and then find out there's a problem. So we've actually looked at building that into the system, and I'll come on to that in a little bit. We still have impossible client requirements. They want local companies that are diverse and ESG conscious partners. Unfortunately, when we're doing something in South Cornwall or Saudi Arabia or wherever it might be, it's very difficult to find those companies within 30 miles of a job. So we needed a way that we could open the floodgates so someone was registered with us and then able to search it and then bring them through that pre-qualification journey. More of a yellow pages, so we're able to do that, but also then make sure they meet our criteria for our clients. And then Finally, there was no PQQ process for material or service providers. So we wasn't pre-qualifying anyone. We're just adding them to a database, incorrect data, and we weren't able to actually streamline any of our buying opportunities, which I'll come on to again. So I said, what have we done? So to make this really easy, this is actually what I sold to my business. And creating this slide, I know, Karen, you've seen it a lot, Pete, you've seen it, but we've said we've got a lot of common data in the industry. Public data, some we have to pay for, some we don't, but there's a lot of public data we could get access to and integrate directly into a system that we want at the heart of our supply chain. That doesn't take the people element out of it, but the idea is this controls the data alignment, it controls the way we operate across the piece. So we've got the data interaction. So construction line is very construction focused as per the name, but that is a common assessment standard for construction companies in the UK. We aligned all our PQQ question sets to that, and we're actually been able to streamline our PQQ process utilising that integration. Dun & Bradstreet, obviously most will be aware of that, but not only utilising that as an integration directly into Streamline, the financial pre-qualifications and then the ongoing risk assessments, but actually acting upon the daily alerts and assessing not just the Dun & Bradstreet, but some of the other parts of the PQQ to try and get a view of if someone likely to fail, what can ISG do to support them. Integrity next. So this is a new one for us. This is actually social media monitoring and newsfeed monitoring of our supply chain partners and integrating short form, globally recognised ESG questions to be able to red, amber, green our supply chain partners, and therefore look at where do we need to release education modules? How can we support them on our supply chain's growth? We had our own financial data coming in. We had them also access to the system so that way the vendor could input. And then finally, you've got your single sign-on because I hate remembering passwords. It's a nightmare. I've got too many as it is. What did it give us? And actually then partnering with iValue after a very lengthy tender, we got the enhanced risk mitigation. We're able to see things before they happen. We've got 360 KPI performance. You know, we're scoring our subcontractors and our suppliers. They're scoring us. We've got key delivery partner workload monitoring. One of my concerns is the stress of the companies in the market. We've got a lot of failures at the moment. There's a lot more work going to larger businesses, and can they actually handle that quantity of work, and can the material supply chain handle that quantity of work? And finally, pulling that all together, we got a key order gateway. Before an order's placed, you've got a risk centre, you can review it, and you can mitigate the risk before that order actually lands on someone's desk. As I mentioned earlier, we're multiple business units. The one challenge we have, we might do anything from a £10,000 job all the way up to a £750 million job. We had to have business-specific workflows to enable that to happen. And again, partnering with iValue has led to that, and I will show some of this after this. The benefits we got out of it, so digitisation of the P2P process. We're part of the prompt payment code, being able to pay on time and actually be transparent with our supply chain and where they are in the journey. Is this stuck in an invoice dispute? Is there a PO? Is there not? It gives our supply chain full transparency. We've got global vendor accreditation. Doesn't matter where they work in the world or the different compliance legislation issues, we can pre-qualify them in the same way across the piece and actually search that to make sure that when we hit a new market, we can get the right partner for the job. We've got advanced vendor search facilities, so we're able to, as I mentioned earlier, search across the piece, but we can actually bring ESG into that again. So we've got the ability to search on people that are only green across ESG categories. Are they SMEs? Are they diverse owned? And we can start to answer the questions for our clients, but also do the right thing and start to promote these companies across the width and breadth of ISG. And then finally, the bit that I'm most proud of myself is the proactive financial and compliance monitoring. We're doing it before we place the order. So outcomes to date, this is actually our PQQ process now, and thanks to TSM and the team, I've actually got the workflow we've got in there. There's multiple approvers now. Previously, we'd only really approve health and safety, but we're able to send different questionnaires, different languages out to our supply chain, have the right approver per that location, that business unit, review it, approve it, and actually get those companies through the PQQ process as quickly as possible. We've actually, previously we were on a really ancient system for pre-qualification and even some areas Excel. You can see by the right-hand side of the screen that you've got a company identity questionnaire, real simple, straightforward, really easy for our supply chain to fill out. mentioning that MFA, getting people to do our supply chain to do multi-factor authentication, they would have never been able to do anything more complicated than that, being honest, or the majority won't, especially considering that 1,400 less than 10 employees, and a day out completing a PQQ to them is profit margin. So it's about making it as easy and not allowing them to lose money. Our risk centre, so this is where everything's pulled through. This is really our key order gateway. We've got the integrations to next, we've got integrations to Dun & Bradstreet, we've now got an integration for CIS, which is a government scheme regarding VAT payments to construction companies, and that all now pulls through to our risk centre. I have pulled the risk for TSM, I'm sorry, Peter, you're red at the moment. It is actually ISG's fault as well, so. But you can see pulling through on here, overall risk level of red, that means someone needs to mitigate it. We don't have a blacklist of companies that we will not engage with. It's about how do we mitigate that risk. You got health and safety coming through Integrity Next. Anything in social media that's negative, we will be alerted to that. And if it's health and safety, we might not want that company on site. If they've had a fatality recently, if there's been something that's happened, we're able to see it, we're able to act upon it before the order's placed. Dun & Bradstreet coming through, and if on this as well, any red, amber, green that the RAG score that the finance team would put in as part of PQQ would go into there as well. Terms and conditions, have we got agreed terms and conditions? Can they be found in the document centre? All in the system itself. Sustainability, so again, Integrity Next, is there anything negative with human right and labour with the company? Is there anything negative with social supply chain responsibility? We've got it all in there so we can act upon it, and it's being able to do that and do it proactively that's key. And that's predominantly what was our phase 1 of the system. We actually have 3 phases. We're at the end of phase 2 at the moment, about to go on to phase 3, but phase 2 was the material to pay side. So I wanted to show you a catalogue, and this is meant to be about ESG. So this is actually something ISG's done away from the system, but utilise the system to promote it. So you got the top picture there as a catalogue, and you've got a little eco flag tag that is on the right-hand side of each of the items there, temporary site signage. As it stands, ISG throws away about £2 million worth of temporary site signage every year, all single-use plastic, all thrown into skips, and unfortunately we've tried to store it, reuse it, and every time it gets battered, it gets ripped off. When you come to end a job, it just goes in the bin. So rather than try and reuse, recycle, whatever we could on the current signage, we actually partnered with a company that does Corex sheeting. That Corex sheeting company has a closed loop system, and we actually then got our signage supplier to print on the Corex board, speak to all our waste management companies, and have them collect that sheet, the Corex sheet, and distribute it back to the supplier for re-chipping, reprocessing, and putting back into the supply chain, back into printing. So by doing that, when our site teams, and we could have 1,000 people on this purchasing through ISG, we don't have buying teams, it's the local sites that know their requirements, they can go on, see very quickly it's an eco product, and they can procure directly through to the supply chain through it. I've also added a punch out on there. We're working with suppliers, tendering the right suppliers, finding companies that are already carbon negative businesses, and we're now investing into punch out capability with them, so that way they're getting the lion's share of our work going forwards. And I'm going to keep this one brief, but the future opportunity, where do I see this ESG opportunity going? I said at the start, I've got 7,500 companies in the UK. It's probably going to be 10,000 by the time I've rolled out all of the different business units. The key bit for me is actually what do we do with that? When they're red, how do we act upon it? How do we, rather than mitigate the risk, let's improve it from day one. So we have in construction, the Supply Chain Sustainability School, having the integration between Integrity Next through to iValue can see that it's red, pushing that to the Supply Chain Sustainability School, pushing the right learning pathway through to the management team of that company, and then coming full circle, they recomplete the Integrity Next, start to improve our supply chain. Let's not leave them behind, let's work with them, bring them with us, and hopefully enable ISG to meet its clients' needs, meet its own needs, and make the industry hopefully a better place. That's everything.